What's up YouTube, this is Jason Undisputed back here again, this time with another deck profile video. And I know I haven't done a deck profile video in a while, and today we'll be doing a deck profile of my Levidras deck profile. Yes, it's been almost a month since Destined BT04 came out. This is one of the decks that I built during that pack, Destined BT04. So yeah, I thought I might as well just share a deck profile video with you guys of this deck, because this deck is really fun to play. Competitive wise, it's okay. It can compete with the current meta decks in a while here and there. And it's actually pretty good against one of the current meta decks actually, which is Shoto Doji. It actually does very good against Shoto Doji, and I'll explain why. So let's get down to the deck profile. So I will start with my right line first. So for right line, we have the starter. Then we have the great ones, Scorpio Piercer Dragon, I think. Then the grade 2 Mantis-Side Dragon, and then the grade 3 Levidras. So I'll explain the effects right here. So Scorpio Dragon, if you would ride the Mantis-Side Dragon on top of him, which is the grade 2, you can ride that card without discarding. So yeah, so basically it's a free ride. You don't really need to discard to ride the grade 2 on top of him, which is actually pretty good. It's a free ride, so yeah. Then for Mantis-Side Dragon, if you ride a unit with Levidras in his name on top of this card, costs Energy Blast 3. Check the top 5 cards of your deck, add a grade 3 or lower card from among them to your hand, and then shuffle the deck. Yes, this card literally searches for anything in the top 5. It can be an order, it can be a unit, it can be a trigger, whatever you want, which is pretty good. But it's only grade 3 and lower. So if you play grade 4s, you can't search grade 4, but you won't play grade 4s in this deck anyway, because it doesn't make sense. But yeah, the only thing I have with this card is it costs an Energy Blast, which is pretty costly. If it costs an Energy Blast or Counter Blast, it will be much better, but it costs an Energy Blast. And energy is a very important factor in this deck. I'll explain why later. And then we have, of course, our main grade 3, the Destined One of Infinity, Levidras. So, what does Levidras do? Let me explain. Cost Counter Blast 1 once per turn. You can put an Infinity Ice marker on one of your rearguard circles and another one onto your opponent's rearguard circle. So what are Infinity Ice marker? So basically this is what we call an Infinity Ice marker. So this card, it has no skill. It's just an additional marker on a rearguard circle, right, like this. So it doesn't do anything, but you have to run this because this card needs you to play with this. So let me explain why. So second skill, whenever a rearguard on your opponent's rearguard circle attacks or boosts, you can choose to remove one Infinity Ice marker on that rearguard circle, and if you do, either increase or decrease its power by 10,000, and then remove that marker, and then you draw one. If Infinity Ice marker is on your rearguard circle, your units gain 10,000 power. So yeah, so this guy is basically what it means, that it's basically force markers, force 1. If you say so. On your rearguard circle, it becomes a force 1. On your opponent's rearguard circle, it becomes a negative force 1, but you have to remove the marker after he attacks or boosts. So yeah, for example, if one of your opponent's rearguard attacks you, then you have to remove the marker. It's only once at the time. So if let's say you have 2 markers stacked on it, you can only remove 1. So yeah, it's not that broken, but yeah, it's to be fair in a way, because imagine if you have 2 markers on a rearguard circle, and then your opponent's rearguard attacks you with a rearguard with 2 markers, you remove 2, you can draw 2 and they minus 20k power, which is pretty insane. So sadly it's only limited to once every time a rearguard attacks, but yeah, this card is actually pretty strong. Then the last skill, which is the Divine skill. Activate when your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or above, Soul Blast 1. Put up to 2 Infinity Ice marker, or 1 on your rearguard circle and 1 on your opponent's rearguard circle. And then this unit gains power plus 10k and a crit until the end of the turn. So yeah, this card is pretty strong. The Divine skill, basically it gives you an additional marker on your rearguard circle and your opponent's rearguard circle. So you might be thinking, why would you do that? Why would you want to put more markers? Well, if the more markers you put, the more power your opponent rearguard loses. So, and you can draw cards as well. And then another question, so does that mean this deck will prefer going second? Unfortunately, yes, this deck does prefer to go second, because by going second, you can straight away use your Divine skill, which most of the time you are going to do it. So you can straight away put 2 markers on your rearguard circle and 2 markers on your opponent's rearguard circle. And that is very important, because a lot of our rearguards rely on your opponent having Infinity Ice marker. So yeah, that is the right line. So let's go on to the grade 3. So for the grade 3s, we run of course 3 more Levidras for Persona Ride. Then we run 4 Inlet Pulse Dragon. Then 2 I think it's called Looking for Knowledge or something like that, I can't remember. Yeah, the order card for this set. And then 1 Pot of Greed. So Levidras are not to explain, card is explained, so I will just explain this new card right here. This is searching for, I think it's called Searching for Knowledge, I can't remember. So yeah, this is the Levidras order card, which cost is Energy Blast 2, and then choose a unit from your drop zone, call it onto rearguard circle. Then for each Infinity Ice marker in the same column as the unit called, it gets power plus 5k for each. So what does that mean? So for example, I activate this order, I call out Inlet Pulse from my drop zone. Then if I have if my opponent has 1 marker and I have myself have 1 marker on my rearguard circle, in the same column I gain 10k. So my Inlet Pulse will gain an additional 10k, and then plus the Infinity Ice marker, there's an additional 10k. So that's a total of 33k power without Persona Ride. That is actually pretty insane. So yeah, this order is actually pretty good, but the one bad thing is it costs energy. It's an Energy Blast 2. Yeah, not 3. Thank God it's not 3, but 2 energy is still very painful because you're not having a lot of energy, and I'll explain why later on. Then for Inlet Pulse, so why 4 Inlet Pulse? Because, you know, it's a free draw. I saw you can do 4 attacks in a turn, and this deck does make you do 5 attacks per turn. 4 if you go first, 5 if you go second. So, and I will do it in the combo part of the video later. So yeah, Inlet Pulse just for extra draws, moving to soul to draw 1. This deck relies very weird not to play Inlet Pulse, but I do see some decks not playing Inlet Pulse at all. So yeah, I'm not sure why, but yeah. Then Pot of Greed is just basically to counter charge or to draw 2. So the reason why you counter charge, because this deck actually is quite counter blast heavy, and I will explain why. So yeah, that's our grade 3s of the deck. For our grade 2s, for Anatole Gaston, then 4 of this new grade 2 from DZ BT04, then 2 copies of this double from DZ BT13, and 2 doubles from DBT03. So I'll explain Anatole Gaston first. So Anatole Gaston, what does he do? This card is your MVP of the deck. This card is so good. So on place or rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard with Levidras in its name, cost Energy plus 3, then check the top 2 cards of your deck add one to your hand and the other to the top or bottom of the deck. And then this unit gain 5k power. That's crazy. You literally have an Oracle Think Tank skill in a Stokia deck. That is crazy, man. And then the second skill, if you have 3 Infinity Ice marker on the field, this unit gets 5k power and it can attack from the back row. So yeah, this card gives you an additional attack. But there is one negative thing about this. This card needs you to have 3 Infinity Ice marker and above. So when I say you, it means for each Infinity Ice marker you currently control on the field, which means your rearguard circle and your opponent's rearguard circle, because you are giving a marker to your opponent, so that counts as well. So it doesn't only count as it doesn't count only your Infinity Ice marker on your rearguard circle. It counts for each Infinity Ice marker you currently have on the field on your rearguard circle and your opponent's rearguard circle. So yeah, do take that in mind. So yeah, the sad thing about this card is if you go first, you can't achieve this card because you cannot gain an additional Infinity Ice marker if you go first. The only time you can gain Infinity Ice marker is when you use Levidras' first skill. So yeah, that's a bad thing about this card is if you go first, his second skill is offline. But if you go second, yes, his skill is online because you can straight away gain 4 markers with Levidras using his skill and then the divine skill. So yeah, but other than that, this card is pretty good. Being able to check top 2 and add 1 card to your hand and the other to the top of your deck is actually pretty insane. It actually can scare your opponent by putting triggers on top. So yeah, this card really good. So obviously 4 copies. Then 4 copies of this Tail Girl. That's actually pretty good as well. So on place, if you have Infinity Ice marker or rearguard circle, cost Counterblast 1, choose a unit from your drop zone, grade 3 or below unit from your drop zone, call it to a rearguard circle, and then this unit gets power plus 10k if you have 3 or more Infinity Ice marker. So yeah, this card is pretty good as well. If you have 3 Infinity Ice marker on the field, he gets additional 10k. So same problem as well. If you're going first, his 10k is offline, but it doesn't matter because the superior calling is pretty good. Yeah, if you call this unit, you must make sure there's an Infinity Ice marker in the same corner as unit, because if not, if you don't, then you can't use his skill. So yeah, really good. So yeah, next we have these two grade 2 from BT13. So this card actually pretty interesting. I actually didn't run this card at first, but then when I saw the skill and I thinking, hey, this card is actually pretty good. So if you didn't know what you do, you basically run this card at first, but then when I read the skill and I thinking, hey, this card is actually pretty good. So if you didn't know what you do, you basically play an order this turn, it gets 5 plus 5k power. If you call a unit from your drop zone, it gets 5k power. This unit attack, it is the 4th or more battle, it gets another 5k. So that's a total of plus 15k in one turn. That is pretty sick. So yeah, you can actually do this if you go first or second, if you play an order, of course. If you play an order, then you can achieve all the 3 skills as long as this unit attack 4th battle or more. So yeah, pretty good. So that on himself is a 25k. If on a marker is a 35k. That's pretty crazy. And yeah, you know, our order, it costs you can plus even more power for each Infinity Ice marker on the rearguard circle. So yeah, that's pretty good. This card is pretty good. Then this card from DBTO3, did it look familiar? Yeah, this card is actually pretty old. So this card is from it's normally for Magnolia, but his skill is actually pretty good. When a unit in the same column as this unit attacks, cost Soul Blast 1, then this unit gets power plus 10k, and then it gets a skill is when it attacks, choose all of your opponent rearguards. Then the opponent is unable to call cards from the hand to Guardian Circle according to the grades of the rearguards he has on the rearguards, according to the grades that you have chosen on the rearguard circle. So what does that mean? So basically, if you have let's say Hooli and him on the same rearguard circle, your Hooli attacks, you pay the cost of Soul plus 1, he will gain 10k power, and then you choose, like, if let's say your opponent has like a grade 1 or a grade 0 on, or even a grade 2 on rearguard circle, your opponent is unable to call those grades from his or her hand to the Guardian circle because of this card. So whenever he attacks, not he attacks. So when he attacks, you Soul plus 1, he can 10k, and when he attacks, your opponent is unable to guard with 0, 1, or 2, which is pretty insane. So it's a mini guard restrict. So yeah, pretty good. But of course, you can bypass the skill with orders, you know, because orders are, you're not guarding command, you're playing the order. So yeah, this card. So yeah, this card is still pretty good. Yeah, very good guard restrict right there. Mini guard restrict for this deck. Next, the Great Ones. The Great Ones pretty simple. We just run 4 PGs, 1 Elementaria, then 4 of this rare card from the latest pack as well, DZ BTL4, and then 4 Foxley. So I'll explain Foxley first. Foxley is another important card of the deck. So basically what this card is your 15k booster of your Levidras. So if you boost Levidras, it gets power plus 5k. Then if you, and then second skill, if you boost a Levidras, you can have it gain 2. If you have Infinity Ice Marker, you can have it plus 2k. And then cost counter blast 1. Choose one of your rear guards in the back row. It gains power plus 10k and it can attack from the back row until the end of the turn. So yeah, this card is pretty good. It gives you your 4th attack. So if you go first, this card is online. So your Levidras can do 4 attacks on the first turn. It's pretty good. So yeah, this card is very strong. So very good. Then for this Great One, so this card is your counter charger of the deck. So basically his skill is at the end of the battle that he attacks or boosts, if you have an Infinity Ice Marker and you have not counter charged this turn, you can move into the soul, counter charge 1. So yeah, this card moves into the soul, you can get a free counter charge if you have not counter charged. So if you use Pot of Greed to counter charge, you cannot use this skill to counter charge. Or if you have 2 of these on regular circle, you've counter charged 1, you cannot counter charge the second time. So yeah, this card is pretty good, very good. Counter charger for a counter blast heavy deck. So yeah. So as you can see already, why I say it's counter blast heavy, because your counter blast is mostly used for Foxley, you use for Levidras, then you use for the Hooli. So yeah, that's a total of 3 counter blast users already. So yeah, but it's not all too bad because we have a counter charger, pretty good. Then for the triggers, for the triggers, very simple. 8 criticals, 3 draws, 4 heals, and of course 1 over trigger. So over trigger, I'm running the Stokia over trigger. Why? Because it's just such a plus. You trigger it, you basically have all triggers effects when you trigger it. Getting whole front row plus 10k, you get to heal 1, you get to draw 1, you get to have plus a crit. So yeah, 4 triggers effect in 1 over trigger. That's pretty good. But I do recommend running the black over trigger though, because black over trigger guarantees you your 6th attack, and black over trigger heals no matter what. Because black over trigger, as long as you trigger it, you can choose a card from your damage zone, put it in your hand, and then you can call 1 unit from your hand to rearguard circle, and the unit gets plus power plus 10k at the end of turn. So running the black over trigger isn't wrong as well, because it gives you your 6th attack, but it's up to you. For me now, I still play the Stokia over trigger, because Stokia over trigger is just too good not to run, because you get a free plus. So yeah, that is the grade zeros. So that is my Levidras deck profile, guys. Hope you guys enjoy. So now let me just show you a combo of how to play this deck and how to do 4 or 5 attacks. So be right back. Alright guys, so this is how to do 5 attacks with this deck, and you have to do this either you go second. Basically how to do, you need 2 counter blasts and then this hand. So I mean, not necessarily this hand, but yeah, you get the point. So Levidras skill, counter blast 1, putting an Infinity Ice Marker on your rearguard circle and 1 onto your opponent's rearguard circle. Like that. Using Levidras flying skill, Soul Blast 1. then putting a pair of Infinity Ice marker onto your rearguard circle and one onto your opponent's rearguard circle. So now you have a total of 4 Infinity Ice markers. So that means all your skills now are online. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna call the Foxley behind to support Levidras. Then we're gonna call it Inlet Pulse Dragon on the rearguard circle. Then we're gonna call Anatogasta using his skill, paying an energy blast of 3, checking the top 2 cards of your deck, adding 1 card to your hand, the other one to the top of the deck. If you see a trigger, you can put it on top. Then you're calling the Huli skill, counterblast 1, superior calling 1 unit from your drop zone. So let's say you superior call this unit over here. So yeah, we're just gonna call this like this. So if you notice, the grade 1 is in front of grade 2. Why? Because you can do 5 attacks. So how are you gonna do 5 attacks? So let's say for example, you use up 2 of your counterblasts. You have no more counterblast anymore. So what will you do is, you attack with the grade 1 first. Since this is on an Infinity Ice marker, it will gain 10k. So that's a total of 18k power. That's a 10k guard. If you persona right, it's 28k. So after he attacks finish, you can move it to the soul. And now you just regain a counterblast. So you can use Foxley boost, Levidras attacks, paying a counterblast of 1, choosing Huli to gain 10k power and able to attack from the back row. So yeah, that's pretty good. So your Huli is now 30k by herself because she herself gains 10k for Infinity Ice marker in the same column as her, and for each, if you have 3 Infinity Ice marker, and then you get 10k for total of Foxy, so it's a total of 20k power boost already. That's pretty big. So since you use Divine Skill on Levidras will be 38k with 2 critical, so your opponent's gonna perfect guard it. So yeah, then if your opponent perfect guards this, they can check the trigger. If you get any triggers, you can pump it all to Anatogasta or your Inlet Pulse. So Anatogasta itself is already 20k and you can attack from the back row. So its power is pretty small, but if you want more power, you can give it to Anatogasta. If you want to hit numbers, you can give it to your Inlet Pulse. So if you give your trigger Anatogasta will be 30k because you just called it. Then Anatogasta will attack with 30k. Then Inlet Pulse is 23k, and normally you swing with Inlet Pulse first, my bad. Then after that, Huli will attack with 30k from the back row because of Foxy skill. So that's how you do 5 attacks in a turn, which is pretty insane. So yeah, this deck is pretty good being able to do multiple attacks per turn. Like 5 attacks. If you attack over trigger, you can do up to 6 attacks. So yeah, but for me, I still run the Sophia trigger over trigger. So find out Sophia over trigger is pretty good. Then if your opponent attacks you with his rearguard, you can remove the marker, letting your opponent lose 10k power, and then you draw a card. So yeah, remember guys, it's only 1. So if you have 2 markers stacked on the same rearguard circle and your opponent attacks you with that rearguard, you can only remove 1 marker. So you remember that. So yeah, this deck is actually pretty good. Quite an offensive deck and defensive deck at the same time. When I say defensive, it actually gives you a plus during your opponent's turn because you can remove the marker and draw a card, and minusing 10k power from your opponent's rearguard when they swing with it. So yeah, this deck is pretty good. Yeah, very very good. The only weakness in this deck I find is very big power rearguards. Like decks that have extremely high power, like for example Langmire, Leonon. This deck will struggle against a Leonon as well because Leonon, all their rearguards are actually pretty big. So by removing a marker won't really help you that much because you're only minus 10k and you get to draw 1. And yeah, basically these 2 decks would give you problems because their rearguards are just too big. So by removing a marker, you're not really running that much. If you have no perfect guard, you are gonna lose. And then the worst part is Langmire. If he uses the Divine Skill on your Levidras loses all skills, which means you are unable to remove the Infinity Ice marker on their rearguard circle. So do take note of that, guys. If you're fighting against a Langmire, if he uses Divine Skill, you are unable to remove your Infinity Ice marker on the rearguard circle because Levidras has lost all skill, which means you can't even, if let's say you didn't even ride the next turn, you can't even gain 10k because Levidras skill is offline. You need to persona ride in order to get the flower plus 10k and to remove the marker and draw one. So do remember guys, you're fighting against a Blandomaya, he used Divine skill, you are unable to remove the marker to gain 10k and a draw one. So do take note of that guys. But other than that, yeah, this deck is pretty fun to play. I love playing this deck. It's actually pretty fun. I might even take it to the WGP, but who knows what I'll be playing that day. But yeah, but this deck, thumbs up, really good, really fun to play. I'm hoping we get more further support in the future with this deck, because we still need a card that gives us our third Infinity Ice marker when we go first, because if we cannot gain the third marker, we cannot do our 5 attacks for our first turn. But I understand why they did that, because they didn't want this deck to be too insane. Because if you manage to do 5 attacks if you go first, that's pretty crazy. You can do 5 attacks and your Regas will actually be hitting for magic numbers, because this guy will be 20k. This guy will be 20k as well. If you, and your Foxy will give her another 10k power, which makes her 30k power. That's even bigger. And don't forget, if you're going first, your Vanguard is going to be at grade 2, which is easier to hit for numbers. So yeah, that is my deck profile of the Levidras guys. Hope you guys enjoy. What do you think of my deck guys? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Do you think I need to improve on some things? I would like to hear your opinions in the comments down below guys. Let me know your opinions down in the comments down below. So yeah, that's all for today guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you do like what you see, please do leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for more. If you didn't know guys, I show you right now. You can follow me, my links in the description box down below. So yeah, that's all for today guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Jason Undisputed signing